Archive entry, the Death Triad timeline, MOT, Mictlantecuhtli, and Baron Samedi. 3000 BCE. In the Levant and Mesopotamia, the Proto-West Semitic linguistic root for mort, meaning death, emerges. This matters because it forms the conceptual foundation for the later personification of death as MOT. 2000 BCE. In the Levant, Canaanite fertility and death seasonal theology develops. This matters because the cycle of rain versus drought becomes embedded in mythic cosmology, laying the groundwork for MOT's role as ecological death. 2000 BCE. In West Africa, among Fon and Yoruba cultural regions, ancestral and death spirit traditions develop. This matters because pre-colonial African ancestor veneration forms the spiritual foundation for what will later become the Jid lineage in Haitian Vodou. 1500 BCE. In Ugarit, at Ras Shamra in modern Syria, the Ugaritic religious system matures, including the traditions of Baal and Mot. This matters because Mot emerges as personified death opposing the storm god Baal in a structured theological system. 1500 BCE. In pre-classic Mesoamerica, layered underworld concepts begin to form. This matters because early belief in a multi-layered realm of the dead establishes the cosmological base for the later Aztec system of Mictlan. 1400 BCE. In Ugarit, the Baal Cycle begins circulating in oral tradition. This matters because the central myth establishes Mot as the devourer of Baal and the embodiment of drought and cosmic interruption. 1300 BCE. In Ugarit, the Baal Cycle is recorded on clay tablets in Ugaritic script. This matters because these tablets become the primary surviving source describing Mot's character, realm, and seasonal conflict. 1200 BCE. In the Levant, Ugarit is destroyed during the late Bronze Age collapse. This matters because the cult of Mot and Baal is disrupted, but the buried tablets preserve their mythology for rediscovery. 500 BCE. In ancient Israel and Judah, the Hebrew term mavet appears in biblical literature. This matters because it reflects linguistic continuity with earlier West Semitic death concepts connected to Mot. 500 BCE. In the Oaxaca region, skeletal death imagery appears in Zapotec and Mixtec ritual art. This matters because it foreshadows the later Aztec iconography of Mictlantecuhtli as a skeletal lord of the dead. 900 CE. In central Mexico, Toltec cosmology influences regional underworld theology. This matters because structured multilayered afterlife systems become normalized across central Mexican civilizations. 1325 CE. In the Valley of Mexico, Tenochtitlan is founded. This matters because the rise of the Mexica state formalizes worship of Mictlantecuhtli as ruler of Mictlan. 1400 CE. In Tenochtitlan, Mictlantecuhtli is codified as the sovereign of the nine-layered underworld. This matters because he becomes established as a central figure in Mexica cosmology. 1450 CE. In central Mexico, the myth of Quetzalcoatl retrieving bones from Mictlan spreads widely. This matters because it positions death not as an ending, but as the source material for the creation of humanity. 1487 CE. At the Templo Maya in Tenochtitlan, major temple expansions integrate large-scale sacrificial rites tied to underworld cosmology. This matters because imperial ritual reinforces the cycle of death and rebirth within state theology. 1500 CE. From West Africa to the Caribbean, the transatlantic slave trade intensifies. This matters because African spiritual systems, including ancestor veneration and death spirits, are carried into the Americas under forced diaspora. 1521 CE. In Mexico, the Spanish conquest of Tenochtitlan occurs. This matters because official Aztec state worship is disrupted, yet underworld beliefs continue in syncretic form. 1570 CE. In New Spain, colonial codices record skeletal underworld imagery. This matters because visual documentation preserves the image of Mictlantecuhtli despite suppression. 1697 CE. In Haiti, the Treaty of Ryswick establishes French control over Western Hispaniola. This matters because Catholic colonial structures overlay African spiritual systems. 1700 CE. In Saint-Domingue, Haitian Vodou begins consolidating through African and Catholic syncretism. This matters because the Djed spirits, including Baron Samedi, take structured form. 1791 CE. In northern Haiti, the Bois Caiman ceremony ignites the Haitian Revolution. This matters because Vodou spirituality becomes intertwined with political liberation. 1800 CE. In Mexico, Dia de los Muertos traditions develop in syncretic form. This matters because indigenous death cosmology merges with Catholic observances, preserving ancestral reverence. 1804 CE. In Haiti, independence is declared. This matters because Vodou becomes embedded in national identity despite future suppression. 1860 CE. In Haiti, a concordat with the Vatican recognizes Catholicism officially. This matters because Vodou is marginalized publicly yet continues underground. 1900 CE. In Mexico City, archaeological excavations reveal Aztec underworld iconography. This matters because modern scholarship reconstructs the theology of Mictlan and its ruler. 1900 CE. In Haiti, Baron Samedi solidifies as the distinct head of the Djed family in practice. This matters because he emerges clearly as cemetery gatekeeper and master of death. 1920 CE. During the United States occupation of Haiti, Western media begins exoticizing Vodou. This matters because Baron Samedi's image enters global imagination in distorted form. 1928 CE. In Syria, Ugaritic tablets are rediscovered at Ras Shamra. This matters because Mot's mythology is restored to modern scholarship. 1930 CE. In Europe, translation and academic analysis of the Baal Cycle begins. This matters because Mot is reconstructed as an ecological death archetype. 1973 CE. Globally, the James Bond film Live and Let Die features a character named Baron Samedi. This matters because the name becomes internationally recognized, though often detached from authentic Vodou theology. 2000 CE. Globally, comparative mythology research expands analysis of Mot, Mictlantecuhtli, and Baron Samedi. This matters because each is increasingly understood as culturally distinct models of death rather than interchangeable grim reapers. 2010 CE. In Haiti, Vodou practices are visible during earthquake mourning rituals. This matters because Baron Samedi and the Djed remain active symbols of resilience, mourning, and ancestral continuity.